right. Welcome to Joshua Kemble's live stream, episode 287. All right, let's take this picture off. I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for about 9 years and 4 months. I have just recently started the journey into some freedom, hopefully, from that kind of in-house environment. And I'm going to be hunting for freelance work, for graphic design work, for illustration work. I'm back in the saddle of independent stuff. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing this morning is, first off, I'm going to be working on revisions for roughs that I did for my graphic novel with my sister Lavender Roman called Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is a Victorian suspenseful story that I'm really excited about getting back into. There's like 5 pages I need to revise. We're going to do that on stream. Then we're going to do a rough. And after that, I'm going to be working on updating my resume, my website. I'm going to be working on possibly sending out queries to clients, past clients. And I'm going to be, I think the first thing I'm going to do after this is something I've not been able to do, partially because of a crazy commute and where I used to work, just sucking up and absorbing all of my time. I haven't been able to get to the transfer of the fish tank. We have a cool little fish tank. I want to transfer some fish. So I think that's what I'm going to do immediately after my rough for my comic. And I'm planning on reintroducing my workout routine into my day because, again, those like 3 hours of commuting every single day really sucked away a lot of my time. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully you guys will be on board to kind of watch this journey. But I'm going to be trying to kind of make a go of getting back into the illustration and design game with a little bit of freedom from kind of like a corporate or overlord. I'm also excited because it's a big step for me to kind of be without ground again, but it's not a new one. And this goes for anybody out there who's an illustrator or a graphic designer or aspiring to do those things professionally. It's a hard thing to do, but it's possible. I did it for, 15 years without a day job and kind of got by okay, got in some design annuals, made some progress, built up a client base and stuff like that before I kind of turned in. I even adjuncted teaching. And so there's a couple possibilities that I'm going to be looking into. One of them will be potentially adjuncting again, even though the pay is not great for adjuncting. It is very spiritually rewarding and probably making my own prints and graphic designs and illustrations and stuff like that. And I should be working on such things as well as the time progresses. One of the things I want to do potentially today, again, it's like a blue sky moment where there's a lot I can do. Depending on how long this fish tank thing takes, I definitely plan on, again, like I said, updating my resume, making sure my website's more current. And then also, I would like to get into doing a series of illustration prints, which I've never been able to do on stream. And I think it'll be really fun to for you guys to see kind of that facet of what I do, like the illustration stuff, from concepting to completion. Hopefully that'll be really entertaining. I think that might be more entertaining than a lot of this prep work for comics. The prep work for comics just takes a really long time. And because I'm working on a really big graphic novel, it's like you guys aren't getting a real view of kind of the types of stuff I do outside of comics and have done for about 9 years where I work. So that should be fun. So one of my goals is to potentially make some vacation type NPS type posters of different cities, highlighting the unvisitable areas of said cities. So it'll be like greetings from, and like talk about Los Angeles and show like tent cities and stuff like that. Just to kind of like make potentially like a bit of a political statement about each city and like the unoccupied stuff that that people don't often talk about, but should be highlight about cities and their conditions in the U.S. And so it'll be kind of a fun little side project. We'll see how that goes. That's one of the things on my doc that I'd like to do. But again, it's kind of like a blue sky moment where I can kind of see how I cut my teeth again on the freelance game. I know things have changed a lot. I know the client market has changed. I will say, like anyone, like any human, you know, when you don't have a job, like you haven't had a job and then the job drops out, if you have like a kid, that's a really hard thing to kind of go through. And so the fight right now for me is going to be to kind of like keep my head, keep positive, keep kind of moving forward to a direction that I can design a career that I enjoy far better than the one I had. And honestly, in all honesty, that career in itself, like about like half of my time through as an art director there, I would go to work, and I don't know if you guys have seen Joe versus the Volcano. I mentioned this on on my on my last like on Artcasters yesterday where we were talking about this, but there's this movie Joe versus the Volcano where a guy shows up to work where they manufacture like sex toys. That's basically his day job. And he walks in and he talks about feeling his head being sucked out of his eyeballs every time he came in with this like glaring, flickering light that just kind of took his soul. And I'll be honest, I kind of felt like that for most of my time at my day job. Nothing against the day job. It's just that environment in general may not be the best for me. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where we end up if I end up finding a full-time position that I think will work well, or if I just make a go of it and build a whole freelance career again. And hopefully you guys will be along for the ride. I will say, because of my current circumstances, super chats are even more meaningful because I'm going to be pretty tight for money for the foreseeable future. And that's okay too. I grew up really tight for money. I grew up super poor, and I'm familiar with it. And so, like again, I think things get scary when they're unfamiliar, but this is familiar territory for me. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm also excited because I plan on live streaming quite a bit during this process. So hopefully that makes really interesting content for you. Philip Chandler said, "Hey, good morning. Good morning, Philip. How's everything?" So what we're going to start with today is just some revisions of roughs that I did. Most of them are like text revisions, and I can understand why, because again, these are just roughs, but it is good for me to get all that verbiage correct before we go to final, and also to assuage the concerns of my publisher. Obviously, you want to kind of make corrections of things like that. Philip said, "I'm good-ish." Well, you might be better. Like, honestly, Philip, I'm, you know, jobless at this point. And so I'm good-ish as well. um, but yeah, again, like I'm kind of viewing this as like a positive. Maybe in like a month, I'll be like, this is the most negative thing that ever happened. But right now, I'm actually feeling kind of energized and ready to kind of take on the world. And again, like here's another thing that I would just say that I've had to like realize through previous rough times and stuff like that. Half of the game is keeping your head, like I said, like keep your head straight, keep positive, keep trying to go in a positive direction. The other thing I would say, it's kind of like taking on a graphic novel where if you look at the whole of like my situation right now, it could be totally overwhelming and be something I couldn't handle, right? Because it's literally like there's so many things I have to do. So one of my tricks that I've always used, especially when I used to run my own business and you're dealing with like the up and down of like feast and famine, with the lifestyle of a freelance artist, one of the big tricks is to make a list. And so what I've done is I've made a list of things that I possibly need to do today. I've actually prioritized the fish tank thing, and that's just for like a mental well-being thing. Like I want to transfer my fish from the smaller fish tank to the bigger fish tank, give them a new living situation, because I haven't been able to do that because of my job. And right now I have the freedom to actually make the time to do that. And I may not have that as I start getting more into this stuff. So while I have that time, I'm going to prioritize that. But then I've listed a bunch of other stuff. And the thing is, if you try to get the entire list done all at once, you get a lot of nothing accomplished. So this morning I did an assessment. I wrote down what all my needs are, what my path is. And I realized, well, I have one thing right now that I absolutely need to get done that's not going to go away, and that's my book. So I'm going to be working on Not Death But Love, like I said, revising these panels, and then from there, I'm gonna basically list, or not list, but from there, then I'm gonna make a new rough, and call it done for the day on the book stuff, and live stream during that process. And then once that's done, we're gonna do the fish tank thing, and then from there, I'm gonna see if I have time to squeeze in my exercise. I need to start reintroducing that into my life, and also that's gonna be really high priority for my mental health. And also, I'm gonna probably potentially make an illustration, maybe all of this before doing the resume and the website and all of that stuff. But those are kind of the things I have on my dock that I really want to do. That's kind of how I'm going to approach this. We'll see if my approach to this leads to success or failure. And actually, what'll be fun for you guys watching is you can ride along with me and see, hey, can somebody be successful without being under the thumb of a giant corporation? Is that possible in this world? Is that possible in this life? And I can tell you it was possible before I took this job that had kind of slowly sucked my soul away. And so I think because in the past it was possible, I have to hypothesize that no matter how much the landscape has changed, that these things are possible. Adam said, "Good morning, Josh. Hope things are going well. Hi again, Phil. Enjoyed the recent Artcasters." Thanks, Adam. Yeah. So, and then Philip said he had missed what had happened, and so he said I might go back and watch that. So I did. I resigned from my position as an art director. We had differing philosophies on leadership, and so I left. And I am without a full-time job at this point, and we'll see where things go. I have a little bit of a cushion and a little bit of time, a little bit of a financial cushion and a little bit of time to kind of work on stuff and try to find my footing wherever it ends up. But I'm actually really, again, like kind of seeing this very positively. I'll be honest too. Yesterday, I was feeling very not positive about the whole situation. And what it turned out I needed was just rest. I just needed rest. And so that was a good thing. I ended up resting pretty much the entire day. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like where I work, it takes took a really big kind of emotional and mental toll on me because of the long commute, because of, inner working politics kind of stuff there. And so weirdly enough, I think like a nap might have been the first big thing I needed, was just some rest. And that way I could be coherent and ready to kind of rock the world. So that's what we're doing today. The first thing I'm going to do is go through the list of things that my publisher needs revised. We're going to go ahead and do those revisions. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and do a full-time rough. So anyhow, the other thing that's great is I can be a little more unfiltered here, which is kind of nice, because where I worked prior, there's this thing with like salaried employees where you're a representative of wherever you work for. And so you have to be a little cautious about what you say. And in my opinion, I like not having that like restriction placed on me. And at this point, I don't have it. So that's pretty awesome. So I can speak a little more freely. This doesn't mean I'm suddenly going to be like some like yelling asshole online. Oh, nice. Scott said, glad you got some rest. I was worried about you, brother. Thank you, Scott. Scott Circlin, good guy. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The other thing I need to be really leery of as I get into this too is I've written books about this, but for anybody who doesn't know, I've been pretty open about the fact that I have, for most of my life, struggled with depression and struggled with different mental illnesses, I guess. I've talked about this too. I really do have a heavy suspicion that I'm autistic. And so all those things kind of mixed in a bundle, which by the way, I think we're all a little crazy. I actually think most people out there are probably suffering from something. So I don't think this makes me like a unique individual or a unique individuals. Um, or any different than any other person. I think most people are kind of having their struggles and their things they need to overcome. But for me, that's something I'm going to really need to keep tabs on as well, is making sure as I'm doing all of these things that I'm going to need to do, that I also prioritize my mental health like above everything. And that also is going to have a lot to do with like reintroducing exercise. The last year or so, I haven't really been able to keep up my regular exercise routine, which I had done almost religiously for like 2 years straight. And honestly, I need to reintroduce it because when you're not exercising, you're extra exhausted. Like, and you guys might even notice this from my streams where, I'd be like, I'm going to stream all day. And then I'd do like a beginning stream in the day. And then the rest of the day, I just disappear. And a lot of that had to do with just sleeping because I just was physically and mentally like overwhelmed, exhausted, and just it had to kind of like suck it up so that I could do another day at a job I actually really didn't philosophically agree with. And so, which takes a toll on your soul, on your well-being, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm like this perfect human being who's going to like work through this perfectly, or that I'm not going to have like down moments. And I want to be really transparent through this process. Hopefully, maybe it'll help others who are in a similar situation. I mean, part of why I wrote about mental illness was the fact that like this is something people don't talk really openly about, and you can really help people through their own circumstances by kind of modeling your own, ways of like fighting through whatever it was you had to fight through. And this is a new challenge, but it's not a new challenge. Like it's nothing new for creatives. We often creative positions do not last for a long time. And to me, I'm just going to consider it like kind of weirdly like a badge of honor or something that I actually lasted for 9 years and 4 months as an art director, when I think the average art director usually lasts about 3 years at a place. So I feel like, hey, I tripled the average. So I did a good job. I think I left that place better than I had started it with. Again, like the revenue increased significantly when I was working there. And so I feel pretty good about that. And with that being said, let's get into revisions and fight through, the potential negativity that, that anybody could go through at this time. Anyhow, Scott, thanks for tuning in. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and work on our rough revisions. So the first thing I need to do is on page 72, and I need like my mouse is kind of being a pain in the butt. So on page 72, I have to correct some spelling stuff. It's going to be fun. So let's get into it. And again, I really appreciate everybody who's subscribed to my channel. And I will be trying to keep my head in the game. So we got page 72. And these revisions shouldn't take that long in theory either, which is kind of exciting. So page 72, let's open it up. There were a couple things I had to do, like even my Photoshop settings might be kind of weird because when I was working full time, I'd use the Adobe Creative Cloud, since you can use it on two computers. And now I had to fork out the monthly fee for the Creative Cloud. So like my settings and stuff might be a little different than what they were before. I don't know how exactly that'll work. We have like a little notice popping up. Start your free trial. I thought I already bought it. Oh, great. Okay. Let me double check my Photoshop. Oh, it says your plan free membership. I guess it only signed me up for a free membership. That's bizarre. I would rather do I would rather just pay for it. Let's see here. This is an exciting time, guys. I have to go to my Creative Cloud and go ahead and say let's just go ahead and say buy now. Okay, I think that Creative Cloud, all apps. Okay, I've just signed up for Creative Cloud. It's very expensive, but I need it. So, yes. Cool. Yeah, I think we're good now. Let's see if that works. Skip. Okay, let's go ahead and close this. Okay, I think we're good now. Oh, it just closed. This is a fun thing, guys. I know, very exciting. I have to get Creative Cloud set up. I had forgotten about that. Okay, let's get this going. We just did, but I've already paid for the thing, so hopefully that doesn't mean I have to like reinstall everything. Like I just signed up to pay for it. Do. Exciting times, guys. And it has the same stupid thing coming up. This is very frustrating. Okay, let me see if it's got Adobe checkout. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Oh, okay, I see. I just have to do continue. Okay. Hang on, guys. I know this is thrilling stuff, but this is like the kind of little things you wouldn't think about. I thought about it yesterday. I thought I had already signed up for it. But we're going to go ahead and agree and continue. Okay, I said agree and subscribe. Fun times, guys. This is like the troll toll for graphic designers and illustrators. Get started. So hopefully this doesn't mean I have to like reinstall all of the programs that I have. View all apps, access plan. Done. Okay. Let's see if this works now. Hopefully this works. Sorry guys, I know this is exciting times. So we're opening up Photoshop again. We've just paid for the trial or whatever. I thought I had signed up for that yesterday. It's kind of bizarre. Very exciting times, you guys. Exciting stream material. Boom. Okay, we have Photoshop. Okay, great. Philip said, my Photoshop subscription is up next month. I won't be renewing mine. I have so many other programs that do everything I need. That's awesome. I might have to be looking into those other programs. Again, it's going to be interesting kind of adjusting to this like new norm and figuring things out. But I feel pretty prepped for it. So, okay, so we're going to do... Let me disappear for like 2 seconds. And well, let's get things set up real quick. So I need to go to my daily stream. We're going to go ahead and turn on our page 72. And we're going to get things going. And I'm going to go ahead and save. Okay, so this is page 72. Let's do like 1 or 2 revisions real quick. So page 72, they said, hey, on the bottom left frame, it says, critics can be nasty, don't you think, Mr. Browning? Should end with a question mark instead of a period. You guys, this is the hardest revision I've ever had to do. I cannot believe it. Okay, let's see here. So it's going to say, do critics can be so nasty, Mr. Browning. Where does it say? Bottom left. Don't you think, Mr. Brown? Okay, here it is. Question mark, guys. We need to add a question mark here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and make this one really hard revision, you guys. A question mark. The question. Wasn't that the Steve Ditko character? Do you guys remember that? Okay, so what we'll do is print this out. And then whenever I revise a file, even if it's a small change, I always save it with like an extension afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and say save as. And we're going to call it 72_1. And that is that. And then we need to save a copy. And we're going to save it as... anyhow, I'm curious if you guys have any questions or anything about that, like about, what my circumstances right now. I'm more than happy to kind of answer any questions anyone might have. Nothing's off the table. File, save as. And then we're going to call it web for web. And we'll call this save a copy. And then we're going to call it _1.jpg. It's been interesting, though. This whole experience is definitely going to be a test of my mental fortitude. Like yesterday, again, like this is like any breakup, right? When you have a breakup, you're going to have like these seasons, right, of kind of like different things. I need to... Yeah, Adam said the question is the objectivist Ayn Rand. Yes, exactly. Okay, so we got JPEG, web. So yeah, so to be honest, like yesterday, I was not all like hunky-dory and fine with everything. I didn't even know I used the word hunky-dory. That's interesting. That is a whole new perspective for me, that term. So 72. Oh, wait, was 72 a final page? Oh, guys, this is revisions on the final pages. Did we get all the way to 75? Was 75 finalized? 75 is finalized. Okay, so these are final page revisions. I thought these were rough revisions because I've gotten so far into them. Let's get into this. So we got 72. We've got 73. Let me see. Oh, I'm not looking at the right... This shows how discombobulated my brain is right now. I wasn't working on the right revisions. I actually have less revisions. Okay, never mind. Those were old revisions we already did. Let's actually do the actual revisions I'm supposed to do. How about that for getting my head straight? Okay, 78, 81, 82, and 83. Whew. Well, that's embarrassing. Oh, Philip Chandler said my mom used to use that word hunky-dory all the time. Nice. Yeah, apparently my vocabulary and your mom, like maybe we're from the same generation. I'm kidding, but the way I speak sometimes, I wouldn't be surprised by that. There's weird vocabulary in my vocabulary. Okay. That's actually like one of the things that I think made me initially feel like maybe I'm autistic, other than just my son being diagnosed and seeing commonalities between our behavior and our interests and our repetitiveness and our need to like finish sentences before, if we don't get to finish the sentence, we'll like loop, and our tendency to go into like rants and stuff like that, cutting people off by accident when I'm speaking, even though I'm really engaged in what they're saying. One of the other things is like a weird use of vocabulary, where I will sometimes like misuse like a word without really realizing that I'm misusing that one word. That's kind of like a funny thing. Funny little quirk of my personality that could probably get like really annoying, which makes me really appreciate the friends I have, right? Because my friends have to deal with a lot of annoying behaviors in my personality, and I really value them. And I hope they all know that, because it's like, it is a tough thing probably to be friends with me. I'm a weird guy. Let's see. Typo. Okay, now we're actually dealing with the real revisions. So page 78 says a typo on however in the middle right panel. 78, middle right panel. Oh, okay, got it. Typo on however. Howard. You guys, did you know that Howard is a character? No, I'm just kidding. That would be funny. It's like, that wasn't a typo. His name's Howard. Okay, let's fix that to however, which is great because we have a little bit of room for that. These are like the fun, boring things about comics. Like going through, fixing typos. However. Okay, there we go. However. Okay, now we've got bottom left panel. Looks like there's only one ticket. Could this be made to look like more like two tickets? That is a very apt point. My goodness, I only did one ticket. This is where editors are badass, right? Why would he and Elizabeth be going to a theater and only getting one ticket? That does not make any sense sequentially, you guys. One reason I really value editors. Okay, we got our 2 tickets here. We got 2 tickets to paradise. I think that's a song. Isn't that a song? I don't know. You guys will have to let me know if that's a song. Okay. And I think that'll do it for these. Yay, exciting. We finished page 78. This one is actually the correct one to finish. We'll call it 78-1. We'll print it out. Adam said weirdos are the only true friends. Thank you, Adam. I always think of that quote in Almost Famous. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorites. But I'll have to look it up. Maybe we'll play it on here. The whole like uncool thing, where it talks about the only valuable people are people who are uncool. And the kid's like really upset, and he's like, well, why can't I have friends? And he's like, well, you're talking to me. Why don't you have friends? And he's like, because I'm uncool. Oh, I've got it. It's the only true currency in this world is what's exchanged between two people who are uncool. And he's like, well, why do you have no friends? And he's like, because I'm uncool. It's like I remember the first time I saw Almost Famous. That's actually that line. This is how nerdy I grew up. That line made me actually tear up. I cried like a man child. Let's see here. Save as. Web. JPEG. Okay, now we have it. Now we have 78-1. And what I'm going to do is also write down 78-1 on my little paper here, so that when I have to upload these to Dropbox from my publisher, I remember the order they're in. So there we go. We've got 78 revised. I love it. Sorry. My sister has the dun 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 dun, and it's great. Michael Myers just interrupted it. One of these days, that stream's actually going to happen, and it's not going to be May's phone, and you guys are going to see like Mike Myers behind me. Oh, I think there's groceries. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to play a trailer so I can go help with the groceries. I'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Phil Chandler. I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and cartoonist. Today, though, however, I want to tell you about a graphic novel I picked up recently called Jacob's Apartment. This book was both written and beautifully illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It is the story of a doomed romance that causes the main character to question his beliefs and his faith, while he's also going through other tragedies in his life. Every page has been illustrated by hand and digitally colored with painstaking detail. It is an emotional story that causes you to think and even question things in your own life. And while the story is a tragedy, it is one that I was completely entertained by and I highly recommend. You can currently find this on Amazon or even check in with your local bookstore and see if you can order it. And while you're at it, you can also check out my Instagram at Phil Chandler Arts and also my YouTube channel by the same name, Phil Chandler Arts. And go buy Jacob's Apartment.
Entertaining times, I know, guys. Okay, let's get through the rest of these roughs. Paul said this morning, he said this morning, I discovered part of my way through my comic, I changed Fifth Avenue to Fifth Street. Duh. Nice. Hello, Adam, says Paul. Hi, Paul. How you doing, buddy? You are on the Unemployment Club's stream. Oh, my goodness. All right. So we're going to do our next rough revision. Page 81. I believe there should be a speech bubble here reading End Mr. Browning, which is on page 81. Where would it be? Oh, yeah. Duh. I kind of forgot that. My son loves saying duh. It was so funny. It's cute. Him and his cousin had this, like, they learned the word duh, and for like 3 months they were just saying duh about everything. It was actually very hilarious. And like, what's funny is I don't even know if they knew what duh meant. They were just obsessed with saying duh. Or maybe I'm just so slow that they were using it a whole bunch, you know? Who knows? And Mr. Browning. How are you guys doing this morning? What are you guys working on? All right. We got that. Page 81, was that the only change? I think that was the only change. We'll save this one as page 81. '81_1, and we're going to save it as a JPEG. So I think because I grew up as a nerd, this is a thing I've been thinking about. I have occasional paranoid thoughts. I'm just going to let you guys know this, okay? And they tend to come up when I'm in a stressful situation. And I learned this like when I was doing therapy and stuff like that. And I think they result from being kind of a nerd my whole life. So like I would often like have a feeling like people were making fun of me behind my back when I was a kid. And it makes me like, whenever something stressful happens, I tend to like start doubting even friendships or people who care about me. And I think it's because I have this like embedded thing where I feel like people are making fun of me behind my back. Because when I was a kid, I'd get that feeling, and then I would find out like, yeah, people were totally making fun of me behind my back. Like a lot of like quote unquote friends, you know, growing up were like that. So I had like a little bit of a paranoid thing yesterday, I think in response to the whole kind of tumultuous job change and stuff. And yeah, that was fun. So I had to kind of like reconsider and kind of reassess and be like, okay, do these people care about me? You know, that kind of thing. And eventually I was like, I overcame the kind of paranoid thoughts that I can be prone to having. Let's see here. So we got page 81, 1. But yeah, that's a fun thing that I'm going to have to probably fight that as I get further into this journey to stay on like the positive note, to calm my brain. um, I know maybe that's sharing too much. Let's see here. We got page 82. Do we have page 82 pulled open? Got 83, 82. So you have page 82, and it looks like Bosco is standing rather than sitting on page 82, the bottom right panel. Oh, wow. There we go, guys. Another really valid revision. That's why editors are really good. Let's see here. Philip said, "Hey, it's Saturday morning, Paul." And Paul said, "Hey, hi, Philip. Had a good time this morning drawing and talking with Adam. Nice. Did you guys hang out on stream?" All right. So we've got, it looks like Bosco is standing here. Could this be adjusted slightly so it looks like Browning is looking down at him, like in the previous frame? Wait, let me see. Page 82. Bottom right panel. Bosco is standing rather than sitting. Oh, yeah. That's an easy change. That was actually a really good call because I think I did have him standing and I just made that sequential error. So anyhow, like yeah, it's an interesting thing, like kind of I'm not trying to like kind of play like a sympathy card or anything. It's just interesting how much, you know, I wrote Jacob's Apartment about this too. There's this thing about adults, you know, when you get in real long conversations with people, you find out like they have a lot behind them that motivates them to certain behaviors or certain guardedness. I think I tend to treat friendships with like a bit of distance, to be honest. Um, so I'll make like a really tight friend and then I won't talk to them for like years, you know? And some of that's just because, like, you know, when I was a kid, I used to draw comics like all on my own in like a room. And I was kind of like the outcast. So I would kind of, and because of the whole thing with like friends kind of like doing the whole thing where they make fun of you behind your back, or like bullies would like kind of mess with you or something like that. It's like I developed, I think, like this almost like armor to that kind of stuff. And so I think that's part of, you know, part of what makes me somewhat intolerable, I think, to people sometimes. It's just kind of a weird thing about my personality. But as I was saying, like, you know, I kind of explore this in Jacob's Apartment a little bit. There's some of this stuff that you really can't kind of do much about. Like, you know, it's just kind of baked into the cake of who you are. And try as you might, you may just end up being stuck with that cake, you know? And so I think part of it's just like, I know it's corny, but like self acceptance kind of thing, which I struggle heavily with. I would say that's probably one of my biggest struggles. So here we go. We've got save as. I don't know why I'm talking about this stuff. It's just been on my mind because I have to, again, like I said, going into this new experience, I really have to adjust and keep my cool in scenarios where, um, I think it's kind of reasonable to like freak out. Okay, so we've got rough page 82_1. Paul said, "Sorry to hear about your struggles. I sure wish you the best, my friend." Thanks, Paul. I like Paul. But yeah, so that's going to be an interesting fight to kind of have, is like just kind of keeping my sanity and my mental processes like really clear, keeping a clear head, keeping positive, you know, not letting fear overwhelm what I'm doing, because there are things to justifiably fear in the situation I'm in now, you know. But using that as a positive momentum rather than a negative hole, knowing that in my personality, when there's a dark hole that I could fall into, there is a side of me, there's that depression side of me that might want to fall into that hole. I can't allow myself to. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Okay, guys, we have one last revision. It wasn't that bad. Like I said, it was all typos. Okay, typo here. On the top right panel, end the matter should be another matter. You can tell I was screaming while I was doing this. End the matter changes to another matter. The key thing is just keeping it from becoming like a victim-y thing, because I'm not a victim here. Christopher said that page looks great. Thanks. It's a really rough, crappy rough, so I appreciate that you said it looks good. Middle right, well practiced should be hyphenated. Is that for the same one? Middle right. Okay, well practiced should be. Oh, hyphenated. Easy. Easy peasy. You guys, we finished our hard revisions. This is one of the things that cracks me up when people talk about editors being like this nightmare. Like, I've heard people say that who are like indie guys where they're like, I don't want some editor telling me what I can and cannot do. And I don't know if a lot of them realize, at least my process in this, so far editors have been awesome. Like they haven't been like having us change like the entire flow of the story. They're more concerned about like, hey, this guy was sitting and maybe he should be sitting, not standing, because he was sitting in every other panel. Like, that's not like an overbearing, horrible thing for somebody. It's not like they're ruining my art or something. It's like, no, they're just going through and saying, hey, this thing doesn't make sense. There's a spelling error here. That's one of the things like that mystifies me. Maybe people have had different experiences with their publishers, but so far this publisher's been pretty chill and pretty fair. And to be honest, I kind of feel bad because I've been so busy with other stuff, and that other stuff I'm still going to be pretty busy with because I got to make money. But like, they've already extended deadlines for me multiple times because this is just a long process. So I like, to me, this whole like boogeyman publisher thing, I don't get. Christopher Runciman said curiosity. And then he also said, I know it's just roughs, but it looks good. Thanks. Paul said, sometimes roughs look better than the finished. Thanks. Yeah, Christopher said, continuity and spell checkers are fine, but I've come across editors that actually want to be the writer, and those people need to redirect themselves. I agree with that. I wouldn't want an editor. It depends, right? Like if I'm working in-house somewhere, that would be different. Like if I was working at Marvel or something like that, I would expect that the editors are going to be somewhat gearing the story because they have this whole, first off, they have like crazy deadlines. It's more of like a commercial product that they're making. Um, so it kind of makes more sense for it to be a little different depending on the kind of comic you're doing. And in those cases, I totally understand people's criticisms. Um, let's see here. Did we save the JPEG of this? I believe we did. Okay, sweet. So that's going to be 83. So I need, did I do 81? Did I do 81's revision? 81. Did we do 81? Okay. Let's see if we did all of them. So we got 82. Oh, 83 one wasn't saved. Or was it in the wrong section? I think I saved it in the wrong section. So 83 1. So, to be honest, like my situation I'm really excited about, and I'm also a little scared, I'll be honest. It's a little scary. Let's see here. Dropbox. We're going to upload our roughs awaiting approval. So let's get 83 1. Sorry, guys. I know this is kind of like not the most entertaining part of this. I'll be working on actually the roughs in a second. There's just some stuff I have to do. So we've got 83 1 uploading. We need to do 82 1, which we're going to upload. We need to do 81 1. And I thought we did 78, but maybe we didn't. Let me see. Or maybe I saved it in the wrong folder. Let's see here. Oh, okay, we do have 78 1. I just saved it in the wrong folder. So we'll do page 78. And we'll upload that. And then all I have to do now is just delete the older files that are on our little shared service and make it work. Paul said, I hate editors because they're always right. So far, I have not had a nightmare editor scenario. I had one nightmare editor scenario when I first did Jacob's Apartment, because initially that was being made for a different publisher. And that publisher, not the one who published it, not Graphic Mundi, but the one before, kept asking me to make the character more sexy. And he kept kind of like encouraging me to like try to draw like really spicy, sexy people. And I was like, but it's like a slice of life story. I want the people to look kind of realistic. And he'd be like, no, sex them up. I take a little gut punch at him in Two Stories book 2. So if you want to find out who that editor is, whenever I finish Two Stories book 2, you guys can find out. That was a nightmare editor. And after I'd finished the book, and invested like 4 years into it, he was like, yeah, we don't want to publish your book anymore. The whole time we're doing like exchanges back and forth and like revising this thing. And I got the whole thing pretty much finished. And then he was like, yeah, we're not publishing it. That was a shitty editor. Now, Kendra, who edited Jacob's Apartment afterwards, was an amazing editor, a phenomenal editor. One of my favorite people, honestly. Just as a person, she's super rad. Okay, so we're going to delete 78, the old one. We're going to delete 80, the old one. We're going to delete 81, the old one. And we're going to delete 82, the old one, so they don't get confused. Okay, and then what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to email the little thread that's like my publisher and stuff and say updated with revised roughs. And also, I think that's it. I think we're at, did we ever get page 84 up there? Page 84 should be up there. I don't think I ever uploaded page 84. Page 84 is up for your review. Page 84 rough. Awesome. So we're all caught up on the revisions. So the one thing we have to do now is work on a new rough, which should be really fun and exciting. If you guys haven't and you're watching this video, especially now that I do not have my full-time job as an art director, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit the like button, you hit the bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live. Maybe consider a super chat, because again, like this content I do absolutely for free, and also it's a good way to support me at a time where I'm gonna probably need support. I'm gonna probably need a lot of support. So whatever you can spare would be helpful. Don't obviously empty your bank accounts or anything like that. But if you haven't bought one of my books yet, now would be the time. If you haven't told somebody about my comics, Jacob's Apartment and Two Stories, now would be a really great time to do that. That would be really helpful and would support me a lot and my family as well. So that would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, what we're going to do is we're going to put on a trailer, and then we're going to get into rock and rolling. Actually, maybe we'll play a few trailers, but we're actually going to work on page. What page are we on here? We're going to work on roughing out page 85, which I'm actually really excited about. So page 85 shall be roughed out on the next stream. So that's what we're going to kind of figure out after this break. Okay, here is a trailer.
Well, Peter, since I'm such a big music fan, I'm going to have to go with Karen Carter.
Because I'm not hearing audio on that. Let me see if any of these audio things are working. Oh, hold on a second. I think my audio might not be working here. Let's try. Oh, it seems like my audio is dead. Are you guys hearing the volume on those trailers? Okay, Christopher was saying the audio comes through. But then why am I not getting audio here? That's weird. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have to do something weird and leave my stream and then come back on. I'll be right back, okay? Okay, guys, I figured out what the issue was. I can't believe I didn't figure out that issue. I'm a little off my game today, guys. Okay, now we're going to play the trailer. Are you ready? Here it is.
Well, Peter, since I'm such a big music fan, I'm gonna have to go with Karen Carpenter. Oh, Stu, I'm sorry. That's the incorrect answer. Trish, what you got for us?
I'm gonna go with Kim Gordon.
All right, let's check that answer. Kim Gordon. Do we have a Kim Gordon? Yes, and that means you're our new Wordzoid champion, Trish. Dale, tell Trish what she's won. Trish, you've won a copy of 2 stories, a memoir of faith and mental illness. Handwritten, hand-drawn, and handed to you by artist and writer Joshua Kemble. But wait, that's not all. You've also won a copy of Jacob's Apartment, the story of a doomed romance. What happens when you take Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and put it in a blender with Ghost World? You get Jacob's Apartment, written and illustrated by Joshua Kemble. Trish, thank you for playing Wordzoid.
All right, great job, Trish.
I was told I was gonna get a lifetime supply of paper towels.
All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to Joshua Kemble's live stream 287. We're working on the roughs for page 85 now of Not Death But Love from the script, and I'm just kind of dealing with the new life of not having my full-time art director position and trying to kind of proceed forward in a productive manner. So the first thing, once I reviewed my list, was I can't let the book not get done because this is a priority. It's something I signed a contract for. So obviously I need to be working on this book. And Chris said, that's such a great promo by Jim Lujan. It really is. It really is. Okay. So now we're going to... Paul said, I left my stream this morning to go find a book. The worst part of that is Adam was on my stream too, so I left him there waiting. Oh, no. I'll have to watch that and catch up. Was that on Adam's? He was on your stream, Paul. Okay, I'll check out your stream after this. Let's see here. So we have our comics, which is Not Death But Love. And we're going to go ahead and... do this. My sister-in-law said she's like doing audio for like a movie and stuff, and she needs help like recording some of it, so I'm gonna be doing that today as well because I want to support her in her creative endeavors. Speaking of, she actually wrote a book, and I don't have the name of it off the top of my head. I read like half of it and never got to finish it, but it's really cool. And you can get it on Amazon. I'll have to ask her again the name. I'm really bad with names. But it's a really cool novel. It was actually really pretty well written. So we have page 84 now, and we're going to go to that. Page 84. 84. There. Okay. Okay, guys. I also need to adjust this to be the right script. Whichever one's the script. I think that's this one. Okay. So it says there is a knock on the door. And okay, so what we have on the screen right now is page 84, I think. Wait, let me make sure. Am I crazy? Roughs. We did finish page 84. Why would we have another page 84? I got to figure out what I'm doing here. Rough page 84. Okay. We don't need page 84. We need to make a copy of page 83. So we can close this out. Make a copy of page 83. Oh, I guess 83.1 now. And we'll call that page 85. Page 85. Okay, rough page 85. So we're going to open that up. And I almost wonder, Paul, if I should watch your stream on my stream. What do you think about that, Paul? Thank you. Scott said it's not a lifetime supply of paper towels, but I hope it helps. Thanks, Scott. Much appreciated. Scott is a sweet guy. Thank you for the super chat. I feel bad though, Scott, because I feel like we're in the same boat now. Like, I mean, you have your base like way more set up now, but I really appreciate that, Scott. That's really cool of you. Thank you, my dude. Scott Cirkland is a good guy. Has been a pretty darn good friend, I feel like, for a while. And him and Corey are like pretty tight-knit friends of mine now. Let's see here. So that's appreciated. Thank you, Scott. Okay, we need to do our roughs for page 85. The first thing I need to do is actually copy page 84. Paul said, sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. What sounds like an episode of Black Mirror? Scott said it's tight over here too, but we need to be abundant. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's kind of what I was thinking about this morning, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to work on the fish tank. I was actually thinking about that, Scott, how you've talked about like abundance mindset and stuff like that. And I was realizing like, yeah, even though there's a bunch of stuff that I have to do, there's one thing that like I know my wife would enjoy if I did, because we got her a new fish tank. And she's been out of state kind of visiting a sick family member. And she's been encouraging us to upgrade the tank. And so I was realizing like, well, you know what? Like, even though I'm in the thick of this situation, that's something I can prioritize. So I thought about it. I'm like thinking about priorities and obligations. And I'm like, well, I have an obligation to my publisher, so we'll take care of that for the day, at least stay on track. And then I have an obligation to my family, and maybe I can do that. And then the next thing, you know, I'll just take it a step at a time and try to approach it abundantly. So thanks, Scott. Actually, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the example you've given, because I saw you go through the same thing a year ago and you stayed positive, and it's possible. And that gives a lot of people hope. That's part of why I want to stream while doing this kind of thing. It is completely possible to make a living as an artist, and you just have to stay hungry. That's my theory on it. Let's see if that works. It worked for me every time in the past. I don't see why it won't work this time. And part of it is that abundance mindset. Like, even prioritizing after the fish thing, I want to do an illustration. I have no idea in reality if that illustration is going to sell, if anyone's going to like it, that kind of thing, but I'm going to do it because that's what you do. Oh, nice. Paul said you watching my stream while I watch your stream, Black Mirror. Okay, got it. Yeah, it'd be pretty fun. I'd need to know if you're cool with that though, but maybe we won't, because like again, I kind of need to focus and just get this thing done. So we got page 85, rough template. I'm gonna make a copy of page 84. And I'm guessing that these roughs, I mean, we'll have to take a look at the script, but I'm guessing that they won't take any longer than 4 hours. So let's merge visible. But I have to say, there's something else to be said for friends and family and stuff like that when you go through changes and tumultuous times and stuff. I think that makes a big difference. Okay. So now we're going to go through the script. I need a refill of my coffee, but now I'm thinking maybe I should refill water. Paul was saying I wouldn't recommend watching my stream, LOL. Oh, why not? All right. So let's see here. We're going to do break down the script, and I'm going to get some water, and then we'll get into this rough. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to do thumbnails too. Oh, how sweet. Christopher just texted me in support, being very supportive. Thank you, Christopher. I would read this on stream, Christopher, but it seems like it was meant to be personal. So thank you for the encouragement, my dude. Philip said I have a preferred rule that I have to drink. Oh my gosh, my mouse keeps dying. That I have to drink a glass of water for every cup of coffee that I have. Huh. Yeah, my mouse. This is the most annoying thing about Apple is the mouse thing. The fact that they they have to be charged from the bottom, right? It's like the stupidest design known to man. Let me show you guys real quick. Look at that. Like, why would anyone design a mouse when it needs to be charged to connect from the bottom so that you can't use the mouse? Like, the older design had it work. That's so nuts. Anyhow. Okay, so we've got text and stuff to work out. So let's work on our thumbnail. And then we'll see where things go. Thumbnail. Okay. So now tell me honestly, do you entirely discredit? Okay. I'm going to read the script too. So right now, just to get us back in perspective of the story so far. So Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning. Robert takes Elizabeth to a theater to see Bosco, not a musician, a magician. Basically, she takes him to the this place, right? My brain is like slowing down a little bit, guys. Okay, so she takes Robert and Elizabeth go to this theater where Bosco is performing some magic, and then it's a pretty effective show. It's entertaining. They decide to leave, and when they're leaving, Bosco's stage manager stops them kind of on their way, and basically communicates that Bosco wants to talk to them backstage. So they go backstage, they meet with Bosco, and there's dialogue ensuing. Robert's just left the room, and now we're going to work on kind of blocking out page 85. Paul said, I've been drinking 1 coffee and 1 glass of prune juice to start my day. Game changer. Nice. Okay. 1. Now tell me honestly. So we're going to read the script now. So Elizabeth and Bosco are going to be talking. Now tell me honestly, do you entirely discredit the astonishing spiritual manifestations so prevalent in Europe and America? Robert places little to no stock in them, and then Bosco says, there may well be a life after this one. If so, I should like to discover it, but I have seen firsthand the harm these charlatans can do. So this is again kind of bringing back the theme of Robert and Elizabeth. Robert is a skeptic. Elizabeth is a person who wants to believe. So the first thing is just going to be Elizabeth, dialogue, Bosco over shoulder. 2 is going to be Elizabeth looks down at her hand. Okay, so Elizabeth dialogue. Oh, wait, this will actually be Bosco dialogue. Bosco dialogue. Elizabeth over shoulder. This is just our list. We like to kind of do a list first, and then from there make thumbnails. 3 is going to be Elizabeth looks down at her hands in her lap. My dear lady, have you lost a beloved one? So this is going to be Elizabeth looking at hands on lap. Then this 4, I think that might even be Elizabeth's perspective. And then 4 is going to be a side shot. EBB's head down. And this will be B dialogue. So we're kind of like, we're going to get in her mind and see her like from her viewpoint, her hands on her lap. And then we're going to cut to a side shot where her hands are on her lap. She's looking down and Bosco's talking to her. Then we're going to have number 5, which is going to say, 5 is going to be Elizabeth only. Full shot. Okay, we have our our list broken down. We'll go ahead and save this. And from our list, we're going to go ahead and do thumbnails. Philip said, I have a personal rule that yeah, Philip was saying, yeah, I have that. I try to keep an eye on the battery life and change it overnight when it gets low. It usually lasts a couple of months with charge, though. Yeah, 100%. Nice. Paul was saying the prune juice and coffee is a game changer. Interesting. Okay. So now, guys, what we're going to do, I'm going to take another break, and then we're going to do our thumbnail, and then we'll do our rough. Vic's in the chats. How's it going, Vic? I hope it's going well. What are you guys working on? Adam, what are you working on now? Okay, guys. Here is another trailer, the full Jacob's Apartment trailer. Clearly it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've Vic said pure Fantagraphics vibes from Jacob's Apartment. Thank you. I don't think Fantagraphics was willing to publish it, but thank you anyway. I was very fortunate to have Graphic Mundi publish it. There were a lot of publishers who just didn't really get it that I submitted to. Fantagraphics was one of them. So if I could have published through Fantagraphics, I would have been very excited about that. They're like easily top 10 publishers. But what's weird, I have to say, from like the books that Graphic Mundi has put out, I'm extremely flattered to be among like the books they publish. That's probably the best publisher for my personal work that I've ever worked with. For like freelance stuff, I've worked for bigger publishers and stuff like that. But for indie stuff, I just feel very at home with their catalog. Although honestly, it's funny. It's like I joke that in our art community, I'm probably the most toxic person, you know. And honestly, in Graphic Mundi's catalog, I'm probably like the least good book of the books they've published. So that's not me like besmirching myself or something. There's another weird autistic word, besmirching. but it's me just being honest, like about like the quality of work that Graphic Mundi puts out. I just feel really like that was a highlight for me, being able to have that put out. I was very lucky. Because again, like, you know, it isn't easy out there in the art world, you know, and I wouldn't want to paint that it's easy. Even the situation I'm in right now, it's not going to be easy. And honestly, I may not be like a perfect role model or anything when I'm going through this stuff, because I'm going to have tumultuous, you know, feelings about the whole thing. Okay, so let's do our thumbnail. Okay, and we got our thumbnail going. So the first one's going to be Elizabeth Barrett Browning dialogue. So I want it to be an over-shoulder shot continuing from where they're at. So this is like our frame here. So right now I think what I'll do is actually kind of do my thumbnail where I see that last shot. This is going to be a lot of dialogue. And actually now I'm thinking maybe it should be consolidated into two. I think I'll do that. I think I'll consolidate it into two people. I think what I'm going to do is combine on the list 1 and 2 to like a nice wide panoramic shot. And I usually make that mistake of drawing the box, so I don't want to do that. Elizabeth's kind of the main focus. So I like the idea of kind of having, okay, we got Bosco here. And I'm kind of liking the idea of it being a little bit closer up. Maybe we'll do like, maybe we'll turn Bosco's head a little bit so it makes a little more sense. I have to say though, there is tension, you know, without the career, you know, there is a lot of tension. I'll admit that. Like even right now, just like trying to kind of focus and draw and stay positive. It's an interesting dynamic that I'm familiar with, but it's been a long time, you know. Okay. This is going to be Bosco's viewpoint, where we're going to have him. I kind of want him leaning forward a little bit, and we're going to see like his legs. He's sitting on a trunk, so we'll have that. Do you guys remember the stream? Were you guys watching the stream when my dog ate a bird? I still can't believe that. He's like, it's just so deceptive, like how snuggly and sweet he is. And then it turns out, no, he's like totally chowing down on birds. You know, he's okay. It's just, it was just it was just kind of a shocking moment on stream. You guys didn't get to actually see it, but it was kind of funny because here I was streaming, turn around and there's like the leftovers of a dead bird, and my dog looking like his stomach's really full. Like he's just like, okay, I'm good now. I got my dinner, which makes sense. That's what nature, makes a lot of sense. I gotta say, another thing that I think might help me through this is my faith. And I'm not like a good example of a Christian for people, I don't think, because I'm a hypocrite, just like everyone. Like, none of us are perfect. And the other thing is, like, I don't even really like the idea of like proselytizing. I kind of don't think that goes anywhere. But I can say, like, I think my faith will give me some comfort going through this. What was her? Now I need to see Elizabeth's outfit. Because there's this whole statement. Vic said, trash talk. Trash talk. It's the circle of life. Scott said, I woke up this morning to my dog chewing on a dead rabbit. Vic said, I am a bad example of my faith as well. Nice. But there is this whole thing in Christianity. There's like a verse that's very comforting where it says that God will work all things out for his glory. And so it's a comfort for a lot of us who actually do believe, because it's like, even the situation I'm in right now, I know that he'll work it out for what's best, And sometimes what's best might not be what's best for you. Maybe it's what's best for, I don't know. Maybe it's what's best for the place I worked. Maybe people were better without me there, Let's see here. What do we got? We have to find Elizabeth's costume, and it's on one of these layers. Here it is. Here's Elizabeth's dress. Elizabeth's dress. So she doesn't have, I'm glad I looked at this, because she doesn't have the costume. Was I drawing this on the wrong? Oh, I was drawing it on the wrong panel. That's okay. Just use our selection tool and cut and merge down. Okay, I think we're good now. This is on the thumbnail panel now. Okay. So Elizabeth is saying, now tell me honestly, did you entirely discredit the astonishing? Okay. Got her kind of outfit here. She's definitely way out of proportion. That's okay. But I like the idea of her, maybe she has her hands kind of like so. We'll just shrink her proportion down to, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. So as an artist, even in art school, one of my biggest weaknesses that I've never gotten over is when I draw, it's hard for me to not draw two characters that are entirely out of proportion with each other. It's something I've always had trouble with. Also kind of staying within a box. So I'd be able to draw really well, but it's like, I just, for some reason, always draw characters a little bit out of proportion with each other. So like the advent of digital where I don't have to like there was an old school way that we learned in school that illustrators used to use. And I used to use that in illustration classes. Where what you would do is like if you're working on a scene, you draw the scene on like a sheet of tracing paper. And then you'd put another sheet of tracing paper over it and like sketch out your character. And then you'd do another tracing paper and sketch out your other character. And then eventually you have these layers. Like, so if something's out of proportion, you can kind of redraw it over it. And it's like a lot more complicated to come up with like a final sketch. But what's great about Photoshop is like it's just done away with any of that. It's done away with any of that stuff, you know, which is kind of rad. So it's helped me to kind of be able to be like probably a better artist than I really am. And that's actually like a really cool thing. A cool thing about, you know, this ability to kind of work freely and then resize stuff and stuff like that so that I don't have to worry about, you know, my weaknesses. Even in sketchbooks, like if I showed you guys my sketchbooks, one of my favorite things to do is just draw people and like layer the drawings, like life drawings. So they create this like web of awesomeness. They're really cool. It's like a really cool way to work. But Vic said, what would it take to get me to do a superhero comic? I don't know. I don't think I'd be opposed to it. I think it would just take me being inspired to do it, you know? That's what it would take. I don't think superhero comics are inherently like bad, you know? They're just not my interest anymore. Like I don't even read superhero comics anymore, so I don't know, but it would be fun. It'd be interesting to see what I would do with a superhero. I think my style would be awfully weird for a superhero. But that in itself might be fun. Adam said, oh yeah, that's a good point. He said, there is a superhero in Jacob's apartment and 2 stories, right? That's true. Technically, there are superheroes mentioned in those books and drawn. I like it. Vic said, you got to make Watchmen meets Justice Machine. Well, that's one of my, you know what's funny? One of my least favorite things, like even with Jacob's apartment, it's hard to like describe what the book is about. I've always struggled with that. And so I've kind of resorted to being like, it's like Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind meets Ghost World. Because people like, at least from what I understand, people don't listen to pitches unless you like compare your book to other books. And it's like, I'd rather live in a world where I could just say, hey, this is just a really cool book. You'll enjoy it. And that works. But unfortunately, I don't think that works as well as like just drawing comparisons to things that maybe there's like a mild similarity. But I think people just are wired to like have to hear what they, you know, what they've said here. Okay, so we've got to hear like stuff that they're already familiar with. Like, right? Like Indiana Jones, for instance. I haven't even seen the new Indiana Jones. And I've heard good things, so I might have to go see it at some point. But now that I'm, you know, kind of jobless, maybe paying for a movie is not a really good idea, you know? But it's like, the thing that's frustrating is like, I guarantee like everyone and their mom like went to see this movie and it's going to make like tons of money because it's an existing property that like everybody already likes. So even if the movie sucks, like everyone's going to go see it rather than like some weird indie film, you know? And I'm sure if you're pitching an indie film, you have to be like, this is like Garden State meets what, you know, like you just have to compare because people just don't have the imagination to, you know, try something new. And I'll find myself guilty of that too, because like if somebody's pitching something and they say, hey, it's kind of like these 2 things you like, then I'm more like, oh yeah, I like those things. Like, yeah. Anyhow. So this is Bosco's response, and then we've got Elizabeth's response, or Elizabeth's longer sentence that I'm going to have here. And I think I was thinking about doing it as a wide shot, but maybe we'll actually just do it. I know Elizabeth's got like, there's like a bird cage kind of thing here. We got our bird cage thingamabop. We'll just do this as a square panel. It's going to have a crap load of dialogue wedged into it. Maybe we'll do it as a tall panel. Okay, we're having fun here, guys. We'll change up the format a little bit. Where else? What else do we need here? I think we need some like magic ephemera. So maybe we'll have like a trunk with some like magic stuff on it. Maybe some more magic stuff in the corner. I know there was like a ball kind of thing. Some other stuff. And the doorway. Okay. So there's a panel 1. I think we're going to do an interesting layout this time, guys. I usually stick to like a 6-panel grid, but I think in this case it'll be a wide panel and then we'll do two side panels. Let's save. Nice. Vic said, I usually call my book The Bastard Son of the Black and White Explosion. Nice. I like that. That would make me really into it. Adam said he enjoyed the new indie scene. Adam also asked if I have an old drawing you've done of Spawn. Yeah, I have a lot of old drawings. The problem is they're in my garage, and it would just take me forever to find them. Maybe I'll just borrow some scrapbook pictures from my mom, like, and share some of them for you guys. My mom used to do like meticulous scrapbooks, documenting like every year of our lives. She was a very sweet lady. So we have all these scrapbooks of like our family from like, I think up until my dad passed, and then she stopped doing them. But it would be fun to go through those. It might be fun to show some of those old photos on stream. Okay, guys, I'm going to do another quick break, and then we're going to do another panel. So here is the trailer for Two Stories. Nice. Vic said, especially now that I'm on this second draft with an anthropomorphic bear character in the second issue. That's awesome. We reread, when my son were doing story time, we reread The Hobbit. And I had forgotten a lot of, like, I love that book as a kid, but I had forgotten the bear character in it. Like, there's this guy who's like half bear, like he kind of turns into a bear. It's pretty cool, actually. It's a cool story. I feel like Ben liked it. It's funny with him. It's always hard to tell whether he likes the books we're reading. And then it'll be like, you know, a year later where he's like, you know, that book we read? And it's like, oh, you were paying attention, you know, like, because when you're actually reading them, it's like, you know, he's like a kid about it, you know, where he's like wanting to kind of like fiddle about and do stuff. And like, you know, he's listening to these books. But it's neat that, like, I've been reading to him since he was first born. And I think that has a little bit to do with why he's doing okay in school. I mean, most of it's him doing awesome in school on his own. But I remember friends of mine saying, like, you know, if you read to your kid, like, every day, like, they're going to do better in school. And I nerdily have pretty much stuck to that, like, pretty militantly, like, for, you know, his entire childhood, like, reading to him every night. It's been weird the last month or so not doing that. I kind of miss reading books to the little dude. Um, he's just a lot of fun. Okay, so let's see here. Elizabeth looks down at her hands on her lap. So this could actually be like a shot of Elizabeth kind of looking down at her hands. Her hands shouldn't be like that. I think her hands should be more kind of like this. Like you kind of almost like she's nervously looking at her hands. And maybe Bosco can be here saying, "My dear lady, have you lost a loved one?" kind of thing. How's your guys' day going? I hope I'm not being a drag to everybody talking openly about, the whole job loss thing. I hope that's not going to like drag you guys down or give you a bad day. Because honestly, I think it'll be a good thing. I think he needs his arm up here. And then out. So I've been a person who like talks with my hands when I talk. Like I'm a very expressive talker. And I love doing that with my characters in my stories, is like trying to kind of have them do like hand movement and stuff that like expresses what they're saying. Okay. This will be the "My dear lady, have you lost a loved one" thing. And we'll cut it a little tighter. Jim Luhan, Jimmy the Lutz, said, "Hey Josh, with the peace sign. How's it going, Jim?" How are you doing? How is the full fungus coming along? I saw your last thing on the full fungus. It was pretty cool. Jim had Christopher Runciman on to talk about his movie, The Full Fungus. It was a good episode. It's nice to see you and Chris. You guys are nice people. Funny people, too, I gotta say. The humor of those guys, it's like a battle of wits when they meet up and chat. They're very funny, very smart. I think Christopher Runciman is just an incredibly intelligent guy. Like he constantly references like movies I've never seen, like things I've never seen. It's kind of cool. He's a nice dude. My brother Edward, I called him bro, was on the coast of. Okay, so I think what we'll do here is we'll have a close up of Elizabeth. And I like this being that side shot again. Did I just accidentally? Yep, I did. I committed a cardinal sin here. Easy fix. Oh, hang on. I thought it was an easy fix. There we go. Easy fix. Much better sequentially. Okay. Now we're going to have Elizabeth here saying her brother. My brother Edward, I called him Bro, was lost off the coast of Torquay on a calm, clear day. 3 weeks I waited for him to come back to me. If I had let him return to London earlier, but I begged him not to leave my side. How tragic is that? She lost her brother at sea. It's really sad. Really sad, guys. I like this being her kind of looking down. Maybe she's got her hands in her hair. What's great is I don't think this is going to take a ton of time to do the rough now because it's going pretty smooth. I'm kind of surprised with all the chaos here that I'm able to be focused and get some of this done. That to me is an encouraging sign. And I think this is going to need to be cut up a little bit. So we'll have this like her chair, the chair here. And we'll have it cut a little higher. And then our thumbnail for the page is done. I just have to stretch it. This is a cheat, you guys, but I think it's going to work for the page. I think there's one or two things I'm going to have to change so it doesn't look all distorted, but that at least gives us a place to start from. And obviously we'll kind of make it work a little better. A little too distorted. We'll make it work a little better on the thumbs. Hold on. We'll make it work a little better when we get to the thumbnails. Or not the thumbnails, the roughs. Okay, so we have a rough idea of what we're doing. We got our thumbnail. I'm going to go ahead and lock that. Lock my list. Delete some of this old stuff. The rough I don't need. I don't need this thumbnail. I don't need the blue lines. Don't need this. What I do need to do now is we're going to make the panel borders. Nice. Jim said, I woke up early this morning, worked on it, and took a nap. So now I'm awake. Nice. Glad you got a nap in. Okay, guys. Thumbnails are finished. Let's watch a trailer. We're at almost the 2-hour mark. If you are tuning in, this is Joshua Kemble's live stream, episode 287. And here is another awesome book review.
Hi, my name is Phil Chandler. I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and cartoonist. Today, though, however, I want to tell you about a graphic novel I picked up recently called Jacob's Apartment. This book was both written and beautifully illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It is the story of a doomed romance that causes the main character to question his beliefs and his faith, while he's also going through other tragedies in his life. Every page has been illustrated by hand and digitally colored with painstaking detail. It is an emotional story that causes you to think and even question things in your own life. And while the story is a tragedy, it is one that I was completely entertained by and I highly recommend. You can currently find this on Amazon or even check in with your local bookstore and see if you can order it. And while you're at it, you can also check out my Instagram at Phil Chandler Arts and also my YouTube channel by the same name, Phil Chandler Arts. And go by Jacob's Apartment.
All right. That was the trailer. Now we're going to get rocking. Okay, let's actually do some roughs now. The first thing we want to do, Philip said, I've gotten fat since that interview. I don't think so, Philip. Have you? I feel like I've gotten fat, like the place I worked at. That's another benefit of not working there. I'm guessing I'll be able to get my exercising going on again. Should be really nice. Okay. So I want this to be like a really tall panel. Might be too tall, but I think it can work. So let's make this work. Let's make it work, guys. We're going to do a nice tall panel. A nice, exciting, tall panel. Fluffy clouds, guys. Happy clouds. Okay. And then we're going to do this. Change it up. And we're going to see what we can do here. Let's get this rough done. It's going to be really interesting to kind of see what comes out of this, what changes happen, you know, what approaches I'm able to kind of take. Again, like the test of whether I can keep my my head straight while going through a hard time. I think it's going to be interesting. All right. So that'll be panel 2's border. And then we'll have panel 3's border here. And I think we'll be good to go. I'm actually kind of excited about working on the fish tank. I think I'll, whilst I do that, check out. Whoa, what did I do there? My brain. Okay. Yeah, I think it'll be fun to catch up with Adam and Paul. Kind of see what all they did on their stream. Both are very entertaining, interesting people. Interesting folks, guys. I'll make a drinking game for you guys. You can add, like, you are allowed to drink every time I say interesting. Do so responsibly, please. All right, here we go. I think we're good, and we're going to save, and we're going to go ahead and take our thumbnail now, copy it, and we're going to make it into a cyan. Yeah, Corey has talked about a thing called imposter syndrome, which like a lot of people have. I definitely have that. There are definitely times, especially like after a job loss, right, where I feel like, am I an imposter? Even while working on roughs or something, it's like, man, it takes me a long time to do these things. I know people who it takes less time to do it. It's like, am I an imposter? You know, that happens. Good old thing. Okay, this is going to be interesting to see if we can make it work. Now that I'm seeing the framing a little more. But I like this idea. Maybe we can even bring in one of those cages again to kind of fill up the space. Okay, let's turn off our list. Got our thumbnail here. Now let's draw. Let's draw, folks. Ladies and gents. Save. Yeah, that's a good point. Jim was saying now that you're no longer working for your employer, you can finally tell people you work for a government contractor reverse engineering UFOs. 100%. I do feel that relief to be able to talk about the top secret job I used to work at. Okay, here we go. So we can do this very easily. Okay, I'm going to have it say now. Now I need to write it. Now tell me honestly. Vic said I'm going to head out. I got a downstream to be a part of. What's a downstream? Shout it out, Vic, so people can check it out. I will say, I think Vic is really pretty cool. Like, he is really young and like really inspired and is going to take the comic world by storm. I have a feeling, just with his fire and interest in making comics and stuff like that. He even did some really nice portraits of me, which were really flattering. Just really nice guy. And inspiring, honestly, you know. Let's see here. Do you entirely discredit the astonishing spiritual manifestations so prevalent in Europe and America? Paul said, I just got back. My wife walked me. That's funny. Robert places little to no stock in them, but I. Robert places. Jim was saying, I hope she picked up your mess with a plastic bag. Robert places little to no stock in them, but I. But I. Nice. Josh Clover said just listening and driving for a few minutes. Josh, I told people a story about your pool days. I didn't call you out too much by name, but still remember there was a point in time, Josh, where you were pretty darn good at pool. Do you still play? Yeah, Josh and I grew up in a similar kind of environment. We both went to the same school and all that stuff. Good guy, that Josh. Yeah, I guess Josh is saying not much. I don't think he keeps up with the pool thing anymore. All right, let's see here. There may well be a life after this one. If so, I should like to discover it. Paul says he has a pool pic on his profile. It's a fair point. All right, guys. I'm gonna take another. I'm taking it nice and easy so that I get this done. Well, let's finish at least one. Let's rough out one panel. When I'm like thinking, it's really hard for me not to vape because I used to smoke a lot, and so especially when like there's high pressure or something like that, it's like my temptation is to just keep walking outside and smoking, but I need to focus. Okay, let's see here. There may well be life after this one. There may well be a life after this one. If so, I should discover it. I should like to. Yeah, I think I'm going to adjust the balloon tail, actually. Good question, Paul. He was saying, is that balloon tail going to go underneath the other one? No. I'm going to just move the tail over. That's why roughs are so great. Like to discover it. But I have seen firsthand the harm these charlatan's a great word, can can do. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to move the word balloon tails. Life is like a hurricane, balloon tails. Race cars, something, airplanes. It's a word bubble blur. Thank you guys. I'm here all night. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. Balloon tails. Woo! What do you guys think? My son got really into the original DuckTales, like the old school cartoon, and it was pretty fun to watch those episodes with him and see that they kind of still hold up, like old Disney afternoon stuff. He really liked Darkwing Duck too when he was little, which was kind of cool because I had an old Darkwing Duck stuffed animal that I had when I was a kid and got to give it to him. He was like, "Wow!" I had all the toys too, the Darkwing toys. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, Josh was saying back when theme songs were real bangers, for sure, man. They were not messing around, those theme song writers. So I think what I'm going to do here is, again, I want to kind of highlight the birds in this. If my internet works. My internet does not want to work. Let's see here. Okay. So we have a dove to kind of reference. Okay. Philip said, I never saw the original series, but I watched some of the reboot with my roommate. I actually kind of got into it. I never got to see the reboot. It looked pretty cool. Like they were almost taking like a Cartoon Network kind of view of it or vision of it, I guess. It was very like shape based, kind of like if Samurai Jack or something was done like to, DuckTales. It looked really cool. So again, this isn't going to be that hard of a rough to do because I did some tighter illustrations. So that should be kind of cool. And we're going to just have his legs here. Maybe they're a little further down. Paul was saying, I think it would be interesting if they broke out your internet bill. For example, you could pay for text, graphics, sounds, videos all separately. I don't know what that means. Are you saying like they like charge for different services through the bill or something? Paul said, just a dumb idea that would never work. Sorry. I was just curious what made you think about it, you know? There are no dumb ideas. That's the teacher in me, right? Who knows? You might be the next like genius. Maybe you came up with something really cool there. Okay. Paul said, I think a lot of what I type doesn't go through. Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, like Frank isn't here. This was going to be kind of like a thing. We're going to have like a bird cage here. And I was thinking, you know, it might be cool to have like one of those like weird ventriloquist dummies or something. I'm trying to think like what would be in the corner of like a room or something, you know? Of like a magician, you know? It's like backstage. That would make a lot of sense. And let's see, maybe we could have like some kind of weird magic stuff. The magician's magic box with the cup. That was always a cool one. Some cards. And whatnot. And Paul said, most of what I type is nonsense. Nice. Josh said, okay, I'm at my destination. See you next time. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Josh. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. That's fun. I have a dove. And that dove's going to be on a thing. Kind of draw it through. Then we're going to have our Victorian bird cage thing. So it's going to be interesting trying to kind of keep like I said before, you know, it's like one thing in Word to be calm and kind of go through a situation like well, and then it's another to actually do it. And I think I'll be able to. I really do. But it's a little tough. But like I've told many friends, it's important in this life not to let the bastards get you down. Right? You cannot let the bastards get you down. That is like life 101, right? This is the most shitty drawing of a bird cage known to man. But it's a rough, okay? It's a rough, you guys, okay? All right. Let's see here. I kind of like that staging, though. I don't like his foot getting cut off entirely, so I think we might go back to our original kind of weird drawing there, where the foot at least gets, so it doesn't look like I'm just trying to hide feet there. Okay. We're going to go ahead and save and do our shading on this, and then we'll take another break. It's going to be like a weird, creepy puppet in the corner. Kind of reminds me of Adam's comic. Adam did a AI comic a while ago called The Ventriloquist on Tapas. It was really interesting. Very abstract, but pretty interesting stuff. Then we have this going. And we have this going. Then after this, we're going to rock a fish tank. Should be fun. All right, so we have our bird here. Have our kind of floor going here. Maybe we can have like the corner of the table we had before too. Maybe that can be here to give it a little more depth. Some cards, some playing cards. And a little bit here too. Okay, guys, we have finished one of the roughs, and now we'll continue. Oh, nice. Adam said that guy who was debating you about Tim Pool said he did some animation. I didn't follow up after I looked at his YouTube page. Jim was saying, I have a great idea for invention. Little handheld device that will change the channel from across the room. That way I don't have to get up and turn the dial on my television every time. Oh my gosh, brilliant. Brilliant. Jim said, do you mean like a long rod? Martin Shkreli vibes. What? Now I'm trying to remember Martin Shkreli. Oh, that was the dude who did like the big pharma like charging thing and bought the Wu-Tang Clan album. Huh. All right, guys. So we're gonna save, and then I'm gonna put. Adam said, "Pharma, bro." All right, guys. Here's a trailer for. We're just gonna play the Jacob's apartment trailer again. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. Okay, I really like this framing here, and I think now that we have a little more room to work with, we can actually adjust it to be a little more exaggerated, which I think will be more impactful. This is supposed to be like a very emotional scene. So I'm thinking something like this, but then I'm thinking we'll show her lap a little bit. We're going to do, like, kind of build him out a little bit more. And his hair a little more. And then we'll kind of go from there. Except this word bubble should be coming from there. Okay, cool. So now we're going to do the rest of this rough real quick. It's going to say, my dear lady, have you lost a beloved one? That's a weird word, beloved. I wonder if it is love, beloved or beloved. I read it as beloved. With a question mark. I wonder if his animation's good. I bet it's pretty good. He seemed like a guy who like I'm sure he's not like a horrible human being or something, you know? People have differing viewpoints. Let's see here. I just totally disagreed with him. But, you know, that was my own like take on things. I'm sure he's a decent guy. Like I don't think somebody's politics necessarily inform how good or not good their art is. That was kind of one of the reasons I was even commenting on that stuff. You can have differing viewpoints with people. That's okay, you know. Doesn't mean you're right, but it's okay. But if you like, you know, comment on my YouTube leaving like a novel of information, I will respond if I feel up to it, you know. Let's see here. And if I disagree with somebody, I'll try to kind of speak out about it, you know, just in my nature. Okay. So we're getting this down. We're getting this down very quickly and well. Hopefully, we can have some fun with this. Second panel is going to be done before you know it, you know. And then we got fish tank to rock. Gonna rock a fish tank. Okay. Let's see here. A little bit of a meaty, beefy hand there. Want to kind of adjust it. Jim said, I totally disagree with you that people have disagreeing viewpoints. And he said, I channeled Gary right there. Nice. But yeah, I was kind of fired up on those streams because I mean, I have political agreements on some things with some people, you know, and like there is like just objectively what I watched, like that guy, that Tim Pool guy did not seem like logically coherent, like toward the end of that debate. And it's just so bizarre to me that somebody would see it so differently. And so even though I'll accept that viewpoint or whatever, it's like, I don't agree with them at all, you know, like, and then there's some things that I think are like really damaging that people believe, you know, and I think it's good to kind of call that out, especially when you're kind of like punching up. Or especially when people like have this view that like you have to like toe a party line or be like part of a almost like an actual gang or something. It's like that's kind of where you want to speak up a bit, you know. Let's see here. But to be honest, it's like I'm not a political commentator, you know. Like that was one of the funniest things about that was like I'll occasionally get political, but it's not like I'm a pundit and I spend all day like researching stuff, you know. I just kind of have my opinion, and that's it, you know. We have here like a door that we saw in the last panel. There was like a portrait or something here. Oh. There we go. Paul said, Josh, what is the workflow between you and your editor? Do you send roughs, thumbnails? When do you get feedback, if you don't mind me asking? So mainly it's just I send roughs as I get them done, and then they usually give feedback on the roughs. And we have a script that's already finished, so that's already been, you know, approved and looked at. And so the key thing is now, just as I rough out pages, I show them the rough, and then they can give me feedback as I do it. And the nice thing is, like, once it's done, like, and I finish the page, if there's anything remaining that needs to be changed, they'll speak up. But in general, the process has been most of the finished pages I do, they're just like, great, and we move on to the next. I'm changing things up a little bit this time just because Jim gave me that suggestion and I thought it was brilliant. Where he was saying, hey, you're going to feel really overwhelmed, you know, being this deep into the project. Consider like changing up your approach a bit. And I was like, yeah. So what I'm doing instead is doing like bigger bulk batches of stuff. So right now I'm just kind of working on roughs, and then I'll send them to my editor as we go so that we have less revisions at the very end. But that's pretty much the extent of my engagement with them. I also have my my rep, my writer's rep is also involved. So if she sees anything, the author is also involved. So if she sees anything, and then we just kind of go from there. Hopefully that answered you. Paul said, I think Tim was just miffed by talking to a hot girl. Could see that. Okay, here we're going to do this a little bit different. And then we'll kind of work from there. So I'm going to increase the size of this. Okay. And then we'll work from there. So we're going to have it say a lot of text up here. It's going to be my brother. My brother, Edward, I called him bro, was lost off the coast of Torquay on a calm, clear day. It's really actually pretty tragic how she lost her brother. Three weeks I waited for him to come back to me. If I had let him return to London earlier, but I begged him not to leave my side. And now we need to make sure my side. I don't want to leave an orphan there. And we're going to go ahead and center this and then finish up the roughs for this page, which should not take long at all. So not too bad. I was expecting this to be like a 4-hour stream, and I think it might end up being about 2 hours and something. So now we just need to kind of move this down. Wow, that just kind of worked like magic. Okay. And we're going to have this as the speech balloon bubble. And going to go ahead and have this be like a hand with fingers in her hair. It's pretty awesome to have Kevin on stream yesterday. That was fun. It's nice to hear from my friend. I haven't heard from him in a while, so it was really cool for him to touch base. Kevin is a really talented storyteller. I think that's one of the reasons his YouTube videos like got tons of views and stuff back when he was doing YouTube a lot. He's just like a really interesting guy. Like he can weave a yarn, you know, and like he's really just super entertaining and interesting. Kind of reminded me of back in the day when we used to do Big Illustration Party Time, having him on, just kind of riffing, having fun. It was a lot of fun. On a hard day, it was nice to have him kind of show up, help me process and kind of figure things out. So yeah, so there's that. This will be her lap. We've got the chair here. The arms of the chair. And now we'll just do a quick thing. Paul said that was really nice to see you and Kevin talk. You could tell he really picked you up. He does, man. He's, you know, we're friends. It's nice to it's sad that we like live in separate, you know, states, but we used to be kind of thick as thieves back in the day. And and he went through a rough one. Like I'm at this point, I just am kind of jobless for a little bit. He went through a really rough one. That was tough, and I tried to be there for him as best as I could. Even in that case, I was probably not perfect. But I tried. Tried to help him out, and it seems like he's kind of back on his feet, which is kind of awesome. One of the most talented artists I know, too, Kevin. It's like killer line. Like you cannot top his line. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we finished the rough that I needed to finish. So what I'm going to do now is go work on a fish tank, and maybe I'll show you guys on the next live stream what it came out like. So yeah. So anyhow, have a good morning, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, hit like, hit the bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live. All that fun stuff. Share the stream with other people. And I will see you guys on the next live stream. Thanks to everybody in my crew who showed up. Appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.